All right, welcome to ITTV episode 4, coming to you with the three amigos from Earlham College. I'm excited to get into this one. We'll just jump right in after these few messages. Reminder, follow us on all the social medias and YouTube. We're trying to get a better URL so it says youtube.com/Indiana Twins. Right now it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo and letters and numbers. So we want to be able to get that. We need 100 followers though, so we still need 25. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube and you want to skip ahead to some of the other questions that we go to, usually in the editing within a day or two, we'll have below where you see the about the video below. You click and see more. I have what's called timestamps, so you can click ahead to those questions while you're in YouTube. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of it. So let's start. I told these guys I was going to jump around a little bit with some introductions. Dalton, I'll let you lead it off. Tell everyone who you are, what you do with the Twins, and a little bit about your baseball background.
So my name's Dalton Carter. I am the head coach of the 16U team for the Twins, and I'm also a pitching instructor. My baseball background is I went to Brownsburg High School, graduated from there. After high school, I journeyed to Richmond, Indiana, and pitched and played at Earlham College for 4 years. How I heard about the Twins was actually the year before. Do you want me to go?
Don't skip ahead, but I do want to ask, how long have you been with the Twins?
This will be my 4th year with the Twins, my 4th season with the Twins. My first 2 years, I was an assistant coach, a pitching guy, and then this year and last year, I was a head coach for the team that I currently have.
Gotcha. Smalls, go ahead.
My name is Brennan Smalling. Kids call me Coach Smalls for short. I've been with the Twins for 2 years. I found out about the Twins through actually a kid I used to train with at my old high school. Was taking hitting lessons with Jason, and I was in the middle of chasing the independent ball route. Wanted to go get some lessons. Jason helped me out tremendously, and kept asking, hey, when you're done playing, are you going to come coach? And I want to give it one more year, and then this is where I ended up. So,
what's your baseball background? Where are you from? Where did you play?
I went to Mooresville High School on the southwest side of Indianapolis, and then went to IU Southeast as a walk-on. Played there for 2 years. Got cut going into my junior season in the fall, and I transferred to Earlham immediately that following semester and hit the ground running there. Started practicing with the guys, and me and Brennan actually became roommates at that time, and played third base at Earlham for 2 years. And then, like I said, chased the independent ball thing for 2 years as well. So,
gotcha. All right, Brennan, you're up.
My name is Brennan Laird. I'm a hitting instructor for the Indiana Twins. I also am an assistant baseball coach for the 16U teams under Dalton. I help with the hitters in that level and do the base running. My background in baseball, I started at Olmsted Falls in Cleveland, Ohio. Following high school, I went to the University of Cincinnati, where I played there for a couple of years. Then I ended up transferring to Earlham College, where I actually got to meet Brandon and Dalton, who became my roommates. I played a little bit of outfield and infield for the Quakers, and then I ended up with the Twins. I heard about them through Dalton, actually. Never really heard about them until about a year after graduation, where I was helping coach my girlfriend's brother's team. Then Dalton asked me if I wanted an opportunity for another team, and I met you guys and hit the ground running from there, and the greatest choice of my life.
Dalton, how did you hear about the Twins?
So I actually heard about the Twins. So a player from Earlham that we all played with, Ethan Bailey, his brother was a part of the Twins and played for the Twins for a couple years. And our senior year of college was his going in after that summer. It was his 17th year, and Ethan was the head coach of that team and wanted me to join. and be the pitching guy for him. So that's how I kind of got started with the Twins. Ethan texted me one day in like December and said, "You're about to get a call from Jason." And that call, I was like, "Oh, I wonder what this is going to be like." And
Tell me about that call. I want to hear about everyone's first
Jason-
conversation with Jason. So go ahead.
So Jason last week talked about how he just loves talking about baseball. And it was our first conversation, and it lasted 2 hours. He was just nonstop. I probably talked for like 15 minutes. And I was like, this guy has a lot of passion, and I really want to join something that has a bigger meaning to it and stuff. So I think that conversation was like the setting stone and why I'm still here and with the Twins.
Brennan, what was your conversation, one of your first conversations with Jason like?
Kind of like Dalton said, lasted about 2.5 hours just talking about baseball, just your guys' approach before I came to the organization, talking about how if I wanted to become part of this organization, I had to do it the Twins way, which I didn't really know what it meant at the time, but quickly. But yeah, it lasted about 2.5 hours, about 3 hours. And just like Dalton, I only talked for, a quarter of the time, if that. So, he loves to talk about baseball. That makes him one of the great reasons why he's a good president for this organization.
Yeah. Smalls, yours was a little bit different because you were working with him, but how did those conversations go?
So you sign up for an hour time slot typically when you do any lesson, hitting or pitching. And I remember that first lesson was the assessment, which is actually a little bit different now. And I think after assessing and talking about video while I was there the very first day, and already having a basis of terminology that he used, I used something different. It ended up being, I think, an hour and 45, close to 2 hour hitting lesson. And that was actually at the old facility. So I got a little taste of where the Twins started.
Yeah.
Which was rough, to say the least, but pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyone can chime in on this one. So obviously you guys played together. Sounds like you roomed together too. What were you guys this close? Because I know you guys are close now. Were you this close in college? Did it happen after college? Was it a couple of you guys were close? And how did that all friendship?
I think we were all close from the beginning, but I think it really started off, for me at least, our last year when me, Dalton, Smalls, and then another buddy, Eric Galkis, were roommates. And I think from that moment on, we definitely kicked off being best friends. But at the beginning, it was kind of just me and Smalls. And then, Dalton and Eric came roomed with me and Smalls. And ever since then, we've literally done everything together, from video games, baseball, going out, doing whatever.
That's awesome. All right, let's get into it a little bit. So I said I was going to jump around, so I got to make sure I'm on track here. Since you're still up, Brennan, when did you think or know you wanted to coach?
I would say ever since college, especially our last game when it ended. It was probably one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life, just losing in that regional game with Earlham. It was probably one of the only times I've cried in my life, but it was definitely a heartbreaking moment. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be around the game as long as I can, whether that was coaching or just hitting, instructing, or just going to baseball games. But I just wanted to be around the game. Couldn't stop it.
Now, I know you dabbled in some football. Did you ever want to coach football, or is that still something out there?
No, not really. I mean, I played football for 1 year at Earlham. It was fun. I know we went kind of 0-10. We didn't really – I know it wasn't a really good year, but I thought I missed it when I moved when I transferred in from Cincinnati to Earlham. I thought I missed football a lot, actually, so I wanted to give it another go-round because I was originally committed to Bowling Green for football to start, but then I decommitted and went to Cincinnati. But I just thought I missed it, and after playing for a year, I didn't miss it as much as I really thought I did, and just stuck to baseball.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Smalls, what about you with coaching? When did you know, or did you know, or?
So yeah, I don't want to say forced into it, but as far as I coached at Earlham as a volunteer assistant, mainly because I was still trying to get my year of eligibility back. I had an extra semester of school to finish up. So why not? It allowed me to still practice with the guys during the off season and kind of see both sides of the game as still trying to be a player. And then being underneath Coach Sack and learning from him and being in charge of doing pitch counts and things in the dugout to help them out. And then I saw, a couple buddies start coaching. So it led me to coaching travel baseball, which I would not coach. I would not coach at a high school. This is just so much better. So,
yeah. Dalton, coaching, talk to us.
I would think it started my freshman year of college. We had a game, and after the game, my mom took me out to eat, and she asked me a question. She said, "Do you think you should get into coaching?" And I told her at that moment, I was like, I'm really thinking about doing that, after school and stuff. But like Brennan said, it really hit after we lost our last game. Just knowing that my playing career was over, but I still wanted to be a part of the game, and seeing the passion that Coach Sack had throughout my 4 years at Earlham, I wanted to bring that same passion and drive to coaching travel baseball, young adults, into getting to that next level. And that's what drives me every day, is to help out these kids and get them to the highest level that they can.
I did get a question real quick about you guys as coaches. Says, are you fellas the staple high school coaches for the Twins? So I know Dalton and Brennan, you guys are on 16U. Brandon, you're on 17U. You moved up with your guys. You were the head coach last year. I know you'll be sticking around the high school age. Alec Bryan, who also is graduating from Earlham, is 15U head coach. So we've got all Earlham coaches right now. And next year that'll probably stay similar. We might have to do some shuffling around. I know Dalton was telling me a little while ago that ideally the three of you guys would at least one time in your career like to coach together, and I think that'd be awesome. But if we need you somewhere else, duty calls, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just wherever we're needed, wherever Jason sees the best for the organization is. And we have those conversations all the time about that. So,
yeah. All right, I had another coaching question here. Yes, I think I did. Anyways, Dalton, we'll go with you. How is what we teach different from when you played, and was it difficult transitioning?
To be honest, I never really got much instruction when it came to the pitching side. It was more of just like stuff that I learned on my own and stuff, and seeing stuff. I just basically went up there and tried to throw as hard as I can and get as much movement as I could. So especially when I had that conversation with Jason for the first time, he really opened my eyes on there's more to pitching than just getting up there and throwing. During college, I learned a bunch of stuff. But one of the things that I think that sets the Twins apart is the amount of video that we take, especially on the hitting side and the pitching side. I never really got video of myself pitching or anything, and I think that's a big key for the Twins. And another thing is that it's not all about the arm. It's using the body, using your whole body and staying connected. And that's why I think sets the Twins apart, is they take a deeper look into things.
Yeah. Smalls, what about you?
So I don't know if Brennan can relate as far as growing up. I probably had 4 or 5 different hitting instructors. None of them taught the exact same thing, but I can say that I probably learned something from each of them. as far as different, I don't think – I know I've been told the wrong thing to do. As far as different, I think – I don't know how different it is, but it's definitely more in depth, and I have more of a clear understanding of how the swing works, how the body works, how those things connect. And I'll touch on what Dalton said with the video. I used to get video of myself, and I would look at it, and I honestly didn't know what to look at, what to look for. So that's probably where I've grown the most as far as analyzing video and pointing out something that a high school kid especially, might not be able to see even if they did have video. So.
Brennan, was anything different for you?
Well, for the most part now, definitely going off of what Smalls said, but I'm going to take it one step further, and Smalls and Jason, if you were here, can attest to this, is definitely swinging at the baseball with your quote-unquote hands. Growing up, when I was in high school, I played for the Midwest Pelicans out of Ohio, where we were ranked top 3 in Ohio growing up at 18U. And we had a coach who actually played for the New York Yankees. He was a catcher for the Yankees. And he was big on, hey, throwing your hands out there, catch the baseball a little bit. And to me, I felt like it worked for me, hitting for a high average, hitting some doubles, having some slugging percentage out there. But having these conversations with Jason, with Smalls, we argued for countless days, countless hours starting out, because you hear about all these MLB players, all these MLB coaches talking about throwing your hands at the baseball. You want to use your hands. And then you sit down in a room with Jason, and it takes you about an hour, hour and a half to realize, wow, if you're really not using your hands are just in it for the ride. And he can break down hitters from Babe Ruth all the way up to Mike Trout, Stanton, whoever you want, Bryce Harper. He can bring up anybody. He's got thousands and thousands of videos that he can show anybody. But I think that for me was the most difficult, because all my life I thought, I'm using my hands to hit a baseball. But going back, looking at my videos from college, I actually didn't do that either. I just felt that in my head. It was one of my cues. Hey, I'm going to throw my hands at this baseball. But they were sticking here at the same with the scapula going baseball. But I think that, for the most part, was just difficult to grasp, just realizing the truth.
Yeah. I know Dalton said he didn't get any video of himself, and I didn't, when I was playing, didn't get really any video either. But Brennan, when you looked at video in college and you felt like you knew what you were doing and you knew what you were seeing, did you ever find yourself getting too overwhelmed with video, or like there was too much going on, or it messed with your mind, or did you like it? Because everyone's kind of different with that.
When I was in college, I didn't feel too overwhelmed because we didn't take too many videos. Me and Smalls, when we used to hit, we hit pretty much every day before we go work out. Dalton would throw us some BP as well. But, we would take a little bit of video of each other and break it down from the best of our knowledge at the time. But it wasn't an everyday thing where we're taking video, which I wish it was. I wish we could break down video and do all that stuff. We would have learned a great deal more.
Yeah. Smalls, what about you? How was your experience with video?
My first college, I think we took some video as teammates, and we would kind of analyze and look at some things. None of our coaches ever – they'd be lucky to find a coach in the hitting building while we were hitting, let alone get them to analyze video. So I didn't see it a lot at either school. Definitely didn't see any video in high school. We didn't take any video. So
how about when Jason was going over video with you? Do you feel like, because I know him and I will talk about this and talk to you guys some about it too, is you can give guys too much to think about, and you give them 8 different cues from one swing or one throw. So when you were working with Jason, how did he do with that, or how did you comprehend it? Did you feel like it was too much, not enough? Because it can be both exciting because you're like, holy crap, I've never seen this, and that makes so much sense. But then at the same time, it gets you two in your head. So balancing that can be a struggle too.
So for me, he knew early on that I wasn't going to have a problem understanding. He led me to what he was about to say, and I kind of finished the sentence. And he goes, exactly. That's what I'm referring to. And this was post-college, and I had been to California, Arizona, and all these different places. So I had a good basis. I had a good floor of knowledge where it made learning at that depth a little bit easier. One thing I learned from Jason is adjusting to the level that you're coaching. Different external cues were really hard for me starting out. Trying to get a kid to do something without telling him what we're doing at our level. But yeah, Jason's really good at it. And I still learn external cues from him every time we hit together. So.
Yep. Makes sense. Dalton, on your end with instruction, when you first started taking video compared to now, like what's the biggest difference for you as an instructor or a coach?
I think the biggest difference is that I know what I'm looking for in more depth right now than I was at the beginning. Like at the beginning, I feel like I was just going through the flow and just, seeing something and trying to fix that right away. But then I realized that pitching and hitting are domino effects. So if you see one thing wrong, but it's the first thing, you need to work on that first thing. Need to fix that first thing, okay, before you can fix the seventh thing. So it's like a domino effect. So I feel like I'm better at analyzing and fixing those dominoes in the correct order. Another thing that I wanted to say that's different about the Twins is that I think we want to change. We are willing to change and willing to adapt. I think other people are hard-nosed and hard-headed, that they're not willing to, suck it up and say I was wrong. Sometimes you are wrong. Jason told us there was one time he sat down with a team that he had and said, guys, I was completely wrong with how we were doing stuff, and I'm willing to change. And I think that's a big thing, and we're willing to grow too. I mean, when I first started, we were at a facility in the straight ghetto. Like, you did not want to be there at the time that we were there. Like, we had to make sure when we closed the gates, there were 2 people there. So we all left in one piece. And now we're at a facility with 2 buildings, possibly 3 in the near future, and 3 fields that we can host tournaments. So I just feel like the Twins are different because they're willing to take the next step. And I feel like there's other organizations and even high schools that aren't willing to take that next step into getting not only your players better, but yourself, including like coaches and instructors, better as well.
Yeah. Brennan, did you want to add anything to the video on the instruction side?
I mean, Dalton pretty much hit it right on the knob. When I first started, I could definitely be like, oh, hey, domino 4 is wrong, but I wouldn't think about, oh, domino 1, 2, and 3 need to be right. But now I believe okay, I see domino 4 wrong, but let's go back, look at domino 1, 2, 3, and then diagnose which one of those 3 dominoes is making domino 4 wrong. I think Dalton hit it right on the knob.
What was the hardest thing, Brennan? Well, you already alluded to it, hands. Would you say that's the biggest thing that was kind of a mind blown, or like just didn't see that before or didn't really understand it?
Yeah, before coming to the Twins, I've never in my life heard of scap load, ever. And now I think it's one of, if not the most important part of your swing. The most power when you go through your swing. And so when I was first hearing that, I was completely just mind blown. I just didn't believe it. It took Jason a good week, 2 weeks to convince me that, hey, you don't swing with your hands are just along for the ride. I think that, and definitely launch angle, because growing up, you hear a bunch of coaches saying, hey, hit the ball on the line, hit the ball on the ground up the middle. Why would you want to do that? Because if you hit the ball on the ground, 95%, if you want to play at the level you want to get to, 95% of the time, even at a good Division III school, if you hit the ball on the ground, you're going to be out. And if you want to play at Division I or in the pros, 99.8% of the time, if you hit the ball on the ground, you're going to get out. So I think the launch angle, it wasn't really difficult to overcome. I just never really thought about it when I was playing. And if I tried to hit home runs and try to hit doubles and balls off the wall, instead of, hey, being up the middle, because if I miss, I'm going to go to right center. If I'm early, I go to left center. I mean, just think about it. So your mind's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Smalls, what about you? Anything rack your brain or make you stay up late at night because you're just like, I hadn't thought about this before. It's taking me a while to get my head around it.
The newest thing, I think with the deceleration.
Yeah,
that was pretty amazing stuff. And now seeing video proof of how fast we can rotate to a certain point and stop, the harder we can stop at contact and be a brick wall essentially, is where this power comes from. And it kind of makes sense if you think about growing up. I know I've always heard, hey, let the pitcher's velo do the damage, and that kind of makes sense. The pitcher's velocity coming off of a brick wall rather than a soft, mushy surface. That ball's going to have more of a bounce effect and a trampoline effect by doing that at contact. So,
What about on the pitching side?
What's changed and stuff?
No, I mean, like when you started instructing, whether it's something kind of like Small said, where it's now more recently, or something that you learned when you first started with the Twins or first started coaching that you were like, oh, I never really realized this when I was playing. Is it something either different than I knew or something I had no clue about or was a little bit difficult to understand? Or
I think there's a couple things. I think one is keeping your angle inside 90, like we teach, and not getting out of that to cause injuries and stuff. Because I feel like I probably had a couple injuries throughout my career because I was getting outside of 90. Another thing would be like using your legs and using that back leg to drive into the ground. They talk about it on hitting all the time as ground force, and just using that ground force and driving into the ground and getting push off that. And then also lead leg. I had clips of myself pitching from college and my lead leg was terrible, awful. And I think a lead leg is one of the most important things because like they just said, lead leg is basically your brick wall. It's stopping you and transferring that energy up to your arm. So I think those three things are big keys that I've learned throughout my time here with the Twins.
yeah, the lead leg. I mean, I still hear people asking about that, and it's a tricky one to teach. We found a couple of drills that work a little bit, but not always the easiest thing.
Which is another thing. Like next year, we'll probably have another drill for it, and that's why I think we're very good at adapting to and wanting to get better.
Yeah, and I think if you've played baseball at any level, someone has probably told you use your legs, and 9 times out of 10, you ask players what that means, and no idea. They're like, "Yeah, I have big legs. Yep, that makes sense. I should use them, sure, but I don't know how." So
yeah, no, for sure. I've been told to use my legs and no clue. Sometimes it's just like in one ear, out the other. So,
yep.
But now I totally understand what they were talking about, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they were understanding and what they were talking about either.
Yeah. Well, they knew it made sense. Baseball players have big legs, and you use them, and come on, use them. But
Use those legs, Johnny.
that's right. All right.
Body awareness is kind of what you guys are hinting around. So that sometimes that happens later than where we would like it to. But I've seen kids from every age have more or less body awareness, and those are your better athletes for say. They know how to use their legs or hips or whatever you're asking them to do. So.
Yep. All right, next question, Small, since you're up on the screen, I'm going to ask you your favorite thing about what you do as a coach or instructor that is unique to the Twins, because I could ask you what's your favorite thing is coaching. Oh, I get to work with the guys. What's your favorite thing either as a coach or an instructor that is unique to being in the Twins organization that you get to do?
Unique. Well, I haven't been a part of any other travel organization. I even started playing late. But even that organization had the one practice a week. And we would go hit at my buddy's hitting barn with the coach there. So I think the depth and the knowledge that I have now with being with the Twins is pretty cool to be a part of, I guess. But just working with kids on the hitting side of things, especially, and teaching them things that I wasn't able to learn at their age, is the best part, I think, about being a coach. Some of these things I didn't learn until I was 24, 25 years old. And some of these kids don't know how fortunate they are that to be a part of the Twins and get a head start into hopefully their college career.
Yeah, literally every one of us has said it, and we continue to say it. And whenever we teach a player and their dad sees it, we all agree, if I would have known this before,
Yep, 100%.
Dalton, what about you?
No, I think Smalls hit it on a tee for sure. I think another thing is that the opportunities that we give the kids, not only do I get to teach and instruct my own team, but I get to help shape the entire organization. And I think that's just it's a very cool thing. And I get to lead too, because I feel like I'm pretty good at leading and instructing. So I just think those are very good things about one of my favorite things about the Twins. And just like how many times these kids are able to come in, like I wish I could come in 4 times a week if I could, and practice every weekend and play every weekend. Travel baseball back in our day is different than what it is now. And just like Small said, I wish we had the same opportunities and same style of play that they can enjoy now.
Right. Brennan, what's your favorite thing?
I love the energy levels from 8U all the way up to 17U, from the instructors to the coaches to the presidents and board members. The energy that's in there every day, and I'm there 75 to 80% of the days throughout the week. I think every player, every instructor, every coach comes in with a good energy, and I think there's a difference between good and bad energy. But I think we come with a really good amount of energy. It's not a laid back, you just show up and do what you want to do. I think that's a bad energy. But everybody comes to work every day to get better, but at the same time, it's okay to have some fun. And these two can attest to that. When we were playing at Earlham, the amount of energy that we had as a team was outrageous. No matter who was batting, no matter who was pitching, no matter if we were up 15 runs or if we were down 15 runs, the energy in the dugout, on the field, it was tremendous. And it's not something that I can picture myself going through again. It was that amazing. But I love the energy levels coming through to the facility every single day.
Brennan, you got the first shout out question that goes specifically to you.
Great.
This is from
West.
Yep. So, Mr. Wright says to Coach Laird, with coaching and everything, how does your Twitch streaming career affect your coaching?
That's a good one, Wesley. I'm still out there grinding on that Twitch, trying to get those tonight. But I got to put baseball first. I'll look at your guys' videos. You guys sent me some videos. I've been taking a look at those. But it's just something to do in my downtime in this coronavirus. But it's fun. Dalton plays with me. He's pretty good too. So we get some dubs together.
All right. Let's go. I do have a couple other questions, but I'm going to grab one. So Garrett York says, good to see you, fellas.
What up, Garrett?
Let's see. I'm going to adjust his question slightly because he's talking about technology, and we are, I wouldn't say bare bones, but we're trying to get as incredibly well-versed with what we have before we move on to the next thing. And there's obviously the finances of it too. But typically we've got the radar gun, we've got video, and then just all our education. So Dalton, I'll let you start. You're not expecting this, so I'll give you a second to think, and I'll kind of filibuster. But if you had all the money to get a product, a piece of technology for pitchers or for guys on your team being the head coach, what would that be? And then a little bit of why.
I would probably say a Rapsodo that you can also, and this is going into, being a money saver. You can just use it for hitting as well. Just to see like what the baseball's doing when you're throwing it. We already have video, so we can get video on that, but we just don't have the technology right now to see the other intangibles when it comes to pitching and stuff. So I would say a Rapsodo for sure.
Yep.
Or what are the motion sleeves?
Moto sleeves?
Moto sleeves, yes. One of those as well for every pitcher.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing to have for every single one of them. Smalls, what do you think?
So I know Jason's boy has one. A couple of the kids on his team have them. Are the blast sensor things that go on the end of your knob of your bat, track swing path, bat speed, all valuable information that would take more time to look into and analyze, but could be helpful when you find something on video. You could go back to that, go back to those numbers and understand, yep, this confirmed what is wrong. This is what we need to fix. And then I think the Rapsodo is better for pitching is what I've heard. I've used both as a hitter, but I think the hit tracks I've heard is better for the hitting side of things. So if we had all the money, we might as well just get both of them to benefit both sides.
Yep. Brennan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with Smalls, but I forget what it's called, but it measures your ground force into the ground.
Just ground force plates or force plates?
Yeah, force plates. I would get some force plates because I really want to be – because players, they can be like, oh, yeah, I'm pushing into the ground, blah, blah, blah. But I want to see how much they're actually pushing into the ground, especially with that being one of the first dominoes. Because good ground force creates that good tempo. Good tempo creates good timing. Good timing creates good contact. So I'd want to measure some ground force.
Yep. All right, let's see what else we've got. Any drills for youngsters stuck at home without access to facilities? So if you had to suggest a drill, Brennan, what would you say?
It just depends on the hitter, depends on what they need to work on. I can give you many drills, but some drills might not be as good as others if you need to work on certain things. So I guess
what are some of your favorite ones that seem to work for a lot of guys? Maybe not all of them, but for a lot of guys.
I think, if we're just talking from a general, I definitely like the tempo toss. I definitely like the Babe Ruth into a tempo toss because that creates the ground force and creates good tempo. Because we're not really talking about mechanics, but it helps you get on time and create good tempo. But I guess at the end of the day, it just depends on which mechanic flaw that they need to work on.
Yeah.
So I can add to that. As he's exactly where I was going to start. Our 5 explosive drills that we do for our assessment, they cover just about every domino that we talk about in our hitting sequence. So start with the Babe Ruth, do some Happy Gilmore and some walkthroughs off the tee if that's all you have. So that incorporates our linear movement and ground force as well. So,
and I mean, even going off that, if you go into whether you got a tee or whether you got one of your parents throwing you some soft toss, even if you just hit some Bernstein, hitting the ball in the air, hitting it out of the barrel, trying to swing with some intent. If you do those 3 things, ultimately your mechanics are going to be where you want them to be because you're trying to hit a ball in the air, you're trying to make hard contact, you're trying to hit it on the barrel. If you do those 3 things, most of the time you're going to be very successful. So start off with some Bernstein, get some feel-good swings in.
Dalton, advice or drills for youngsters stuck at home?
Well, I would say for younger guys, for drills, I would work on the two of the 3 drills that we really hammered in Twins camp. One was Babe Ruth, and then the other was the lead leg drill that we worked on. And the lead leg drill is going to have a parent, throwing a ball up in the air and having them catch it after they release. But those 2 for the younger age groups are big ones. I would say for the older guys, and even the younger guys, maybe doing some band work. But the older guys, especially band work, if they have the drive line stuff, doing reverse throws, pivot picks, doing that stuff. Also doing the drills that I just said as the younger groups, and even the more complicated drill of we eventually called it the Bryce Harper drill because we set up just like Bryce Harper would be hitting. We couldn't figure out a cool pitching name for it, so we decided to stick with the hitter.
Yep.
But just doing those drills that we kind of hammered into their brains. They deep down they know it because we did them so much, and just staying fresh, going outside and playing catch, and just staying locked in and mentally prepared.
Yep. All right, another question. As coaches using video, how do the players react to all the analytics and the numbers and all the stuff that you guys are telling them? So Dalton, you can go ahead and kick it off.
I think it depends on the person. I think that if they want to truly get better, then they're gonna listen, and they get amazed at some of the things that we're talking about. Like they don't even think about getting your foot into the ground and keeping it stable. Like they don't even notice that, and keeping a strong, stable lead leg. So I think some of the things that we go into depth with, like we talked about, it just amazes them and it gets them more intrigued to get better and see and feel those things as well. Because if they can feel them, then if they do something wrong in a game, they can make an adjustment and get better.
I think going off that, I think us 4 here that are on this video, I think we do a good job of giving the kids analogies too. So if something might seem frustrating or too hard to really understand with what we're trying to explain, I think we as an organization, we do a good job of giving them analogies to help them understand what exactly we want. Like if we're trying to put our foot in the ground, we're trying to think about brakes and the pumpkins flying out of the dump truck, all those analogies there. But I think we definitely do a good job of that.
Smalls, what do you want to add?
So going off of kind of what Dalton said, translating what we know. I kind of touched on this earlier, and getting it in their heads to, I guess, build confidence in them, because a lot of these kids have multiple coaches, and it's kind of hard on them to choose which ones to listen to and which ones not to, which is unfortunate. But they when you explain things on their level and get them to realize that after they see a result of what you just asked them to do, it is, I guess, a benefit of, or I guess a confidence level that helps them grow as a player. And all of us were players, and we know we have to do that on our own sometimes. You have to figure things out on your own. So.
No, I completely agree. I think some people would say, coaching is knowing the game, running an organized practice and structured practice and game, and knowing all the ins and outs. I think coaching, the art of coaching, is being able to not only know what you're talking about, but to work with a kid or a team or a player, whatever it is, and to recognize that they have no idea what you just said. I can't tell you how many times I've seen coaches and instructors just bark things because they're right, but then a kid just kind of blank stares, goes over, does it wrong or right, they don't know. But to be able to recognize, I think that's an art that it takes time, but it also takes the willingness to understand that you might not be good at recognizing that. And how can you start to recognize that? You've got different types of learners. You got people that have no sleep from that day. They're really, really smart, and they've always been told one thing. This has always been their Bible of hitting or pitching, whatever it is. So I think that's really the art of coaching. So you guys hit on that, and you guys all do a great job. And I know that's what we try to get our other guys who are newer to the organization to kind of buy into, because we can tell you, okay, here's what scapula is, here's your scapula, and this is kind of some important things. But to go then tell a 9-year-old, come on, load your scap. I don't remember what this scratch is. Is it a scratch? Am I scratching my back? Like what? Like, yeah, so.
One thing that's pretty neat is all of us are, I consider, freshly out of playing now 3 years, but we're still able to do all of these things and literally show them, this is what I'm trying to get you to do. I always love looking for the opportunity to demonstrate something, because then they see, like, oh yeah, look at that, he just crushed that ball 90-94. So like I said, it gives them confidence in knowing what our instructors know. So
yeah. All right, we've got a couple more questions, and if you're still tuning in, I'm gonna try and end it at about an hour, so Instagram Live can not get cut off too much. But at the end, I'm gonna do a rapid fire. So next question, I think I'm done with Q&As, and I didn't tell these guys what the rapid fire is. Next question, we'll start with Brennan. What type of coach are you, and why does that work for you?
I think I do a reciprocal style. What I mean by that is I will give my players a game plan, especially on the hitting side and the base running side, tell them what I want to do. But at the same time, expect them to take the responsibility for their development, since at the end of the day, it's their career. I can't do the drills for them. That being said, I will definitely jump in. I 100% monitor all the players during the drills, and if I don't like something that I see, I'll talk to them, all that stuff. But at the same time, at the end of the day, they're only going to be as good as the effort that they put in. I like players to be able to dictate the tempo of the practice, but at the same time, at the beginning of the practice, they have to earn that right. If they come in all sloppy and don't want to be there, then I turn to a really demanding kind of coach, and I'll tell you what to do. Do this, do that, do that. But if they come in good energy, want to get better, willing to learn, then it'll be a good practice, and they'll get to dictate that kind of tempo.
Dalton, how do you counterbalance that with your style?
Since he talked about kind of practice, I'll talk about kind of like tournaments and games. I think Brennan and I kind of last year, we were kind of the yin and yang style, and meaning like I was very, very hard on our guys. Like I expected them to be the best that they could be. So I got on them a lot when they were mentally not in it. And Brennan would be there, kind of being the good guy and stuff and kind of settle them down. So I think our coaching styles in a game are different, but in a practice setting, we want to accomplish the same thing. I want our players to get better, so I'm going to do what I can to help them get better. But when it comes to games, I hate losing. And if you don't hate losing like I do, it's not good. But I feel like I care so much about our team and the guys on our team that it's just hard for me to see them fail. And I feel like sometimes Brennan gets on them too. And I have to be, when he's yang, I have to be yin. So, but when I'm yang, he has to be yin. It's a counterbalance. So we kind of counterbalance ourselves. And we feel like we do a pretty good job of that when in a game setting.
And it's a lot to give that freedom to our players, but that 16U team, I can attest that they do a really, really good job of taking care of their own business, being able to dictate their own tempo during practice, all that stuff. We've had very, very few instances where we have to actually get on guys during practice because they're just not in it. They do a really good job, and all in the world for them to come get ready and better every single day.
Yep. Yeah, you got to have – I think every good staff or duo has a good cop and bad cop dynamic to it. Smalls, you've been a head coach. You've been an assistant coach in different forms, kind of taking on different roles. So I'm sure this is kind of a loaded question, but how could you best answer it?
Being honest, being a head coach for 1 year, I would say I'm still trying to find myself as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some things that I do really well, and being laid back is probably not my strongest suit. I've learned and had many talks now that there are times where I need to be a bad cop per se, and get on them and let them know how I feel and hey, this is not acceptable and this has got to be fixed. And I got on the guys in the dugout, but I try to keep it to an individual standpoint. I don't want to embarrass anybody. That's not my style, because I was one of those players that if I guess you can say more sensitive. So if I got yelled and screamed at in front of the whole team, I probably wasn't going to perform well. Not probably, I wasn't going to. So reading each kid individually and approaching each kid differently. Each kid has a different level of expectations. Your best player on your team to a guy who holds a different role, you're going to approach differently. So, still learning and still finding myself as a coach. I think this year being an assistant will allow me to focus on my weaknesses and do that. So,
yep, that's good. All right, since I know we've got some of the younger guys on Instagram Live, I'll get to the the fun rapid fire. You'll have to tune in on YouTube, which subscribe to our YouTube page so you can see that if you get cut off on Instagram Live. But everyone on Facebook Live, you'll be able to see everything. I think this is important for the guys to hear on Instagram Live. From a recruiting standpoint, I didn't prep you guys with this one, but feel free, whoever wants to jump in first. I want to hear about your recruiting experience, what that was like for you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and any advice you'd have.
My advice, I mean, especially playing at a Division I school, is don't always just try to play Division I. Don't think every step, every ball that's hit to you, everything matters, because scouts don't really look at if you go 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. They look at if you respect the game. Do you hustle 90 feet and respect the 90 feet? Play the game the right way? Do you hustle on and off the field? Obviously, scouts want to see you show some power and do all that, but mostly they look at, if you respect the game and how you play the game, and cheer on your teammates, and if you're a good teammate. I would definitely say from experience, don't get flustered. I didn't sign with Cincinnati until 2 weeks before school started. It was literally in August.
Did you have any other offers or any other places you were looking at, or?
Not for baseball, no. So I was nervous because I decommitted from Bowling Green, and I didn't know if that was the right decision because Cincinnati offered me. So, and I already decommitted there. So I just say don't get flustered. Just enjoy your experiences, whether it's Division I, II, III, NAIA, JUCO. Worry about your grades as well. From experience, especially if you're trying to get a Division I, Division II school, you're only more than likely going to get a 25 to 35 maybe percent scholarship, unless you're absolutely elite, and then you'll get 100% scholarship. But that 70 to 75% scholarship that you don't get for athletics, you definitely want to pick up academically. So definitely stay in your grades, starting with your freshman year. Your freshman, sophomore year are very important, so you don't have to try to play catch up your junior and senior year. Other than that, I mean, just enjoy your time, enjoy it. It's a fun ride.
What about, you don't have to get into the details of why, and Smalls, I'm going to ask you as well, because I think Dalton was in the same boat as me as we played the same school in our college careers, but the transferring, because I'm sure we've got some guys on Instagram they're in college, or maybe it's looking about transferring or have or going to. How did that, tell me about that. That couldn't have been easy.
No, I mean,
like, who do you reach out to? Like, who did you call? Like, what did you start doing? You Google, I want to transfer, and.
Well, surprisingly, a funny story about that is when I was at Cincinnati, the current coach at Earlham at the time, the assistant coach, Coach Jared Broughton, he played at the University of Dayton with one of my best friends from back home, Denton Sagerman. When Denton was a freshman, Coach Broughton was actually a senior at Dayton. So when he left Dayton, he started coaching at Earlham. So when I told Denton, I was deciding that I wanted to transfer, Cincinnati wasn't really working out for me. He told me that Coach Broughton got a coaching job at Earlham, and they got a really nice field, all that stuff. I should go check it out. And personally, which was a mistake on my part, I was like, I don't want to transfer from D1 to D3. That's not my thing. But campus, met with the coaches, saw the baseball diamond, saw the small campus, and I instantly fell in love with it. It was pretty easy for me, and not a lot of people can really attest to that, and I don't really know any other experiences. For the most part is just who you know and reaching out to people.
I will say the reason Brennan came to Earlham was because of me, because I gave him the tour and ate lunch with him. So Earlham College can thank me for Brennan Laird.
Yeah. Dalton took me on that tour. It was a fun time. Definitely came because of him and his flowy hair that he had back in the day.
All right, Dalton. So tell us about your experience with recruiting, your advice.
I would say my experiences and my advice would be just to be patient and find a place that you can truly make an impact on. Not because of the name, not because of what division it is. Somewhere where you can come in and make an impact on not just a team, but on a university as well, a university or college as well. When I committed to Earlham had 12 wins the season before, 12, and hadn't had a winning season in 43 years. But when I went on my visit, Coach Sack pitched that we're going to do great things here, and you guys, your class is going to be the class to do it. And he truly believed that, and he made me truly believe in that. And he did the same thing to these two that are with me, that are in this video conference right now. He's a very we always joke about it, but he could. Our catcher Cody Krumloff always said that man could sell ice to an Eskimo. I mean, he's just he believes in what he believes in the strides that a program should take. And my first winning season in 43 years. Brandon and Brennan join, and we just keep that going. And our senior class is one of the most successful senior classes in program history, and the first team to win a conference championship, the first team in Earlham's athletic history to win an NCAA tournament game. I mean, we set the bar high, and we changed the program, and that's what I think the Twins do as well. As they start out, we're relatively new, we're growing and we're growing and we're growing. We're trying to build a monster, and I want to be a part of that. So I would just say, just try to find the right fit for you. Don't worry about the name. Go somewhere where you can compete and you can make a difference.
So that's good and all peachy. Did you have any other schools you were looking at that were looking at you? Did you get any offers? Because I know personally, I blindly thought like, oh, I'm left-handed, that'll help me a lot. And it did. It allowed me to play college ball, but I ended up having to walk on. I had one school, a community college, reach out to ask if I was interested, but no offers of any kind from anywhere. So I was fortunate to be able to play Division II, but I walked on and redshirted. So it wasn't necessarily easy. I didn't know if I'd get to play. So it wasn't just a easy road.
Yeah, no, I had a couple offers. They were all D2 or D3. So I went on visits. I went on about probably 4 or 5 visits to schools I went to that I was interested in. And when I went to Earlham, it just like I went there and it was just like, this is the place I have to be. And I remember I was leaving the place and my mom was like, this is the place you need to go to. There's no other place. We both had a feeling that it was the right place for me to be at that time. And it proved to be the perfect, like if I would go through it again, I would pick Earlham again with this in the same scenario. So it's just, it's just like knowing that the coaches want you to be there is a big thing too. And you got to know that. And it's easy to tell because if they're enthusiastic when you're on your visits and they truly want you, they're going to pitch to get you there for sure.
I think going off that too, to add to what Dalton's saying, I think you need to really go somewhere that has a family environment, not just for you, but your own family. When we were at Earlham, all the moms and dads, I mean, they actually did stuff together, went out to eat, meals in between games. When I was at Cincinnati, I mean, don't get me wrong, parents interacted, but it was nothing like it was at Earlham. So just go somewhere where you and your family are accepted as well, because there's a lot of schools out there that'll treat you like that.
After a series, you could find us all at Texas Roadhouse.
How's the spot? Eat them steaks and bread, baby.
So Smalls, I know you've got a unique experience, and so if you could touch on, high school, going into college, and then again, you don't have to get into the details of why you transferred with getting cut and all that, but both of those, we'll talk about those.
So out of high school, didn't have a lot of looks.
What does that mean? Because I hear people say that all the time, and I'm, as a listener, thinking like, does that mean like literally no one talked to you, or like you saw some scouts, but they didn't talk to you, or people actually talked to you, or you got an email? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So first of all, I started playing travel ball probably a little too late. I was with a hitting instructor, and it was halfway through 16U summer ball. He's like, hey, you want to come join our team? We got a spot open. I was like, yeah, sure. So it was the Hitman, if that mattered. Didn't have anywhere to go after my senior year. Hit above 400 my senior year, and I was like, why am I not getting any coaches contacting me? So that was pretty frustrating. Did not sign. I went on one college visit to Heidelberg in Ohio, which is a pretty well-known Division III school, pretty successful program. It wasn't a good fit. They didn't have my major. I didn't really like the facilities. The school was not in a great area. So it wasn't appealing to me at the time. And then the head coach at my high school was good friends with Coach Natterman. Coach Natterman came, he did watch one game, and I just had the high school game of my life where I think 3 for 4, hit the game-winning home run, and I came in and closed the 7th. So things just worked out perfect. He showed the most interest, so that's where I ended up signing to. And then Coach Natterman, I mentioned him because he comes back into play later after I was released. Coach Nat left my freshman year, so I show up on campus, and the coach who recruited me, the assistant, was gone. So I was coming in and had to make a name for myself. The head coach didn't even really know who I was. He trusted him to recruit good players. And I called Coach Nat when I got cut from IU Southeast, and really upset about it at the time, and he could hear that on the phone. He's like, let me make a phone call. I know somebody. And it happened to be Coach Sackasitz at Earlham. Hooked me up with a one-on-one tryout process, I guess. I took a couple ground balls, and they watched me hit. And I'll never forget this day. Coach left the cage and walked outside the fence and walked up to my dad, who was with me watching. He said, "Was it going to take for us to get him here?" So that was a good feeling. Obviously, I didn't mid-semester. I didn't have any other places to go. So that, and seeing that field and the facilities there, the all turf, I was like, yeah, I'm transferring there. Went on a couple stay tours, overnight visits, and boom, clicked with the guys. Shout out Devin Spurgeon. He was my hostess, I guess. Just trust the process, I guess, is where I'll kind of come back to. And moral of the story, you don't know what's going to happen down the road. So always trust the process. You don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't just make connections with everybody that you can. You'll find out how small the baseball world is. It's pretty cool to be a part of. I would have never met any of you guys. So that's awesome.
Yep. So I'm going to preface this next question with a little story. I worked with a guy, this is a handful of years ago, or a player, and kind of much sounds like you, Smalls, where, I mean, a stud athlete on his team, was just a really good player, but didn't have too many looks out of high school, was kind of frustrated and wondering why. But then after conversations I had with him, it turned out that unless someone was really just chomping at the bit to get him to play at a place, he was okay with not playing. And I try to tell our guys that too, or guys that I work with individually, like, hey, you know what? You don't have to play baseball the rest of your life. You can go start cooking and start a YouTube channel. You can go work for your parents, but I mean, you can do whatever you want. Sometimes people get wrapped up and think that I'm doing this, so then I have to do this as my next step, and you don't always have to. But obviously that wasn't the case with you, Small. So what's the advice for a guy that isn't like the one in my example, where it still wants to play, is just balling out, having a great senior year, but just not getting looks? What would you tell that guy? How can they be how can they take action steps and do something to take it into their own hands?
So the accessibility that our players have are far more than what I had. I didn't have sports recruits where they have access to go do stuff on their own. I don't think I asked my travel coach to help me find a place. I did reach out to my high school coach, and he knew like that I wanted to go play. And no matter your level of play, like Brennan said, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, there's going to be, if your heart's in it, there's going to be somewhere where you can play. It's finding the fit. And it might take a little extra work depending on who you are. But there's a place for somebody. And like I said earlier, trust the process. If you want to go play, you can make it happen. But don't try to start that too late. I knew as a sophomore in high school that I was going to go play college baseball. So.
All right, I got a question here. If there is one word of advice, any of you guys can chime in on this one, for a 14 or 15-year-old, what would that be?
Start lifting. I wish I didn't start heavy lifting until I met Brandon Smalling. I mean, I got substantially stronger and bigger ever since I met that man. I wish I would have had his work ethic in the weight room.
How old are you?
I was 21, 20.
21, yeah.
So, man, when I was in high school, I was a string bean. I wish I had the work ethic he had when he was in high school and college. I would definitely say start lifting. Your raw talent can only take you so far. And if you're not top-notch raw talent, you gotta do the other stuff. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That's the motto.
I love the one-word answer, lift, because there's so much more that you can dive into. But like at the end of the day, if you're not lifting, yeah, you can right and wrong all those things. But if you're just not, that's perfect. Dalton, any word?
Lift. I'd say the same thing. I think when I was in high school, we did lifting every day. And then once I got to college, I kind of dialed it down, and I shouldn't have. I should have kept it going and stuff. So I think lifting is a big key for sure, especially for a 14 or 15-year-old.
Smalls?
I could say that, but that would be boring. So I'm going to change my answer. I would say compete. It just seems like it's hard to teach now. I know when we grew up, we were competing every single day in the driveway playing basketball, wiffle ball in the backyard. I think someone said it earlier. They hate losing. I think Coach Carter said it. That is something that is instilled in me, and still to this day, if I lose a walk around the park, I mean, it's just hard to teach. And it's frustrating as a coach when you don't see players competing to their highest ability. So no matter what you're doing, compete, because you make the guys around you better, and you're going to find out you're going to make yourself better through competition. So.
Okay, we will end this with some rapid fire. I think we're done with Q&As. So Dalton, you're up first. I get to pick on you because you're my pitching guy here. So I added a fourth question because someone from Q&A added this. I think it's pretty quick. So on the spot, other than baseball, what's your favorite sport? And in that sport, who's your favorite player?
I would say football, and my favorite player is Tim Tebow. Go
Okay.
Gators.
He doesn't even play football. It's not even fair.
All right. Favorite video game?
MLB The Show for sure.
Okay. Favorite baseball memory?
Winning the conference championship my senior year of college.
Nice. And if you have one, make sure it's semi-appropriate. You may not, but favorite video or favorite baseball movie quote?
You play ball like a girl.
That's a good one.
Perfect. All right, Smalls, you're up next. Brennan, I'm leaving you best for last. So, Smalls, favorite sport other than baseball and your favorite player in that sport?
Gosh, other than baseball, that's tough. Basketball probably. Favorite player, gosh. While he's playing, he's been injured for over a year. Victor Oladipo probably.
Okay. Favorite video game?
I don't play video games.
Fair answer. All right. Favorite baseball memory?
Favorite baseball memory. Gosh, that's tough. Probably, gosh, there's so many. I would say hitting two career grand slams at Earlham. One over the monster was pretty sweet. So
Awesome. And last one, favorite baseball movie quote?
Say it.
got to go with "Killing Me, Smalls."
Yes.
I hear it all the time. So
That's great.
yeah.
All right, Brennan, best for last. Favorite sport other than baseball and the favorite player in that sport?
Football, Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is that your team?
That's my team.
All right. I thought you were a Browns fan.
Don't make me throw up.
Wait, aren't you from Ohio?
Yeah, I'm a Steelers fan, baby.
Okay. All right. Favorite video game?
Fortnite.
Okay. Favorite baseball memory?
Winning the conference championship at Earlham.
And favorite quote from a baseball movie to cap it off?
Hopefully everybody's heard of Bull Durham. I've tried them all. I really have. And the only church that truly feeds the soul day in and day out is the Church of Baseball.
Love it. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to add to cap it off?
No, I know these are tough times. Just make sure everybody stays safe and still try to figure out ways to get your work in.
All right. Smalls, Dalton, anything?
No, I just hope everybody enjoyed tonight. And as my favorite YouTuber says, stay motivated, stay positive.
All right. Smalls, you got to have something.
Thanks for listening, especially those who stuck around the whole time. Hopefully they learned something. If I can make a difference in somebody's day and they remember something for the rest of their life, then we did something right. So hopefully something sticks.
All right. Well, we will cap it there. I appreciate it, guys.
See ya.
What do you know? He already left.
No, he left right away. Yeah, I didn't know if we were gonna stay.